Council meeting, open mic night, and thank you all for coming out this evening. I would like to state for the record, I think Councilmember Wilsey is going to be joining us, and Councilmember Zapata is here. I have not seen Councilmember Palermo this evening, so I'm not sure if he's going to join us or not. But for the record, I will let you know when Councilmember Wilsey joins us, as well, and if Councilmember Palermo joins us. Having said that, I would like to start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I would like to ask Mr. Richard Arena if you would come forward and lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Arena. And I would like to state for the record that Councilmember Wilsey has joined us. And this is open mic night, so I would invite you all to come forward and talk with us on any topic that is near and dear to your heart. And I'm not sure who wants to go first, who wants to be that brave, but yes, please come forward.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council, for continuing to do the open mic night. I think it's an important function for Roswell citizens. My name is Don Conity. I live at 8000 Sandorn Drive, which is off of Coleman Road. And I'm here tonight to talk about Coleman Road property at 9425 Coleman Road. This is a private dwelling that has been abandoned for at least 10 years, dilapidated, has a big tree branch fall through it, and boarded up, some still glass there, but it's just a horrible eyesore as you're coming into town through Coleman Road, which is, I think, a gateway road to Roswell. I've tried to work with code enforcement, haven't gotten anywhere. They keep saying it's under advisement, we're doing something about it, but the fact is it still sits there and very visible, and I think it's time somebody did something about it. When I looked at the county tax records, I found out that the building, it says it was from 1833, which seems incredible that if it's true, I'm not sure that is. Certainly the building hasn't been used as a dwelling for at least 10 or 15 years. If it was a historic dwelling, it's certainly long past its lifespan now. I think probably the best thing to do, if we could, is to raise the building or restore it somehow, but just to take the eyesore off the road, so that people can understand that it is a community on Coleman Road, not just a dump for tires and things like that. So if you could, it's 9425 Coleman Road. The other item I'm just going to mention briefly is racetrack development on Highway 9 and Hembry Road. This council in November unanimously voted against the racetrack putting in a big convenience store and a 16-pump station there at that high-density traffic corner. A lot of representation from the public. Everybody was against it. Now, a week ago, I go to the Design Review Board meeting, and they're discussing how this racetrack is going to look at that intersection, the landscaping, the exterior. Apparently what they did is they reduced by 2 the number of pumps from 16 to 14 and have reconfigured, apparently, some of the placement of the dumpster. But it just seems inconceivable that this project is going to go forward again after being rejected soundly back in November. And they refiled the paperwork within 10 days of the council vote. So that's another thing that just, it's frustrating for residents that go through a process to fight a development and then find out by either a loophole in the UDC or some other way that by dropping 2 pumps, this thing becomes a done deal. So anyway, those are my 2 items, and I appreciate your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Conity. I will ask Mr. Palmer to get in touch with you about the 9425 Coleman Road property tomorrow. And then I would also like to ask David Davidson if he could speak regarding the racetrack property and how those parcels work together.
So the racetrack was actually 2 parcels. One was zoned commercial, highway commercial, and the other was zoned office. The only thing that was being brought to the council was to rezone the office parcel to commercial highway. The highway commercial actually allows gas stations, so that's why the racetrack is being built. The bigger parcel that's actually on the corner that had the bank, that was already zoned and allowed a gas station. It was the other parcel that was coming that they wanted to put the extra canopy, the bigger canopy. When they couldn't get it, they actually shortened the canopy and lost the 2 pumps that you were discussing. So the city doesn't really, that was not denied. That was allowed by right under our zoning ordinance. So that's why it's going in now with just parking in the dumpster. And that's why it's going to the DRB.
And I would also like to say that what we might be able to look at is the fact that the parking and the dumpster are allowed as a single use on that office parcel. And I'm not quite certain that that is the best use for office property. So I think that might be the loophole in the UDC that you were referencing, and I think that we should look at that. I'm not saying, I don't have any answers to that, but I think it's worth a look. Who would like to come forward, please? Don't be shy. Yes, please come forward.
Good evening. My name is Janet Russell. I live in Roswell. Next month, I will have arrived 47 years ago, bright-eyed and idealistic. I'm still idealistic, but not very optimistic. Thank you for rescheduling this meeting from December when the flu and everything else hit everybody. Glad to see you, Ms. Wilsey, back here, who missed you last night. A couple of things. Where to begin? We lost a lot of businesses last year in Roswell. Just thought I'd give you a quick update. The Atlanta Bread Company is closed. Arby's by Trader Joe's is closed. Coffee Bianco on the east side is closed. A nail salon that I've gone to for several years, which is next to Vickery Mill, was forced to close because of the way the building is set back, and they weren't allowed to put a sign out in front, one of those little sandwich board signs, because the building next to it was originally built to be a diner, and it got made into a used car lot, and now all the used cars park up there, and the building that they built later is set back here, so they had no visibility from the street. It was unfortunate because the owner was a Vietnamese lady, that older woman who during the Vietnam War, her husband and her helped the U.S. government, and when Saigon fell, they had to get the hell out of there, so she walked for 2 years carrying her child to Thailand as a refugee. She was my friend. I was sad that they were gone. The expedite visa service right over here has been displaced by this new massive thing that's going to be built on the corner of Hill Street. Just so everyone who's watching at home wants to know, it has moved to the location in the little red brick building next to Vickery Mill Elementary School, and they are fantastic. The mayor's office previously has called me and asked, where can we're getting inquiries about visas. Where do we go? And I said, right over there. They're as professional as they get for passports and visas. They did not close, they moved. That's important. A lot of other businesses are closing right and left. Today I heard about a business that's been trying to be ready to open for 3 weeks that has a great reputation, and someone just casually mentioned they're getting a real hard time from the city, and it's a fabulous restaurant, and it's not on Canton Street, so that's probably why it's not getting any attention. We had a lot of accomplishments in the previous decade. We built an aquatic center. We fixed the Roswell Park pool. We built a boardwalk at the river. We bought 7 branches. We started the path down at the mill park. We even donated a fire engine to a city up in New York that got hit during Hurricane Sandy, which I thought was real nice. So I always want to bring in something positive as well. I do have a few things, and I'll start at the top because, as you know, I have been an advocate for the Hispanic community in this town since I moved here in 1973, when I was the only Spanish-speaking person in the city. And people would look at me and say, "But you don't look Hispanic." And I'd say, "Really? What do they look like?" Because I am one. I have been an advocate. I have translated for the city as a volunteer. The other day I stopped when that shooting was going on up there at the Hispanic grocery store to see if they needed a translator for the police department. They said they were okay. We had a Day of the Dead celebration here back in October, November 2nd. If you recall, the year before, I organized the Day of the Dead Mexican Fiesta. Some of you were present at it. Which I did for free for the city in conjunction with the movie Coco. I don't believe we have a 5-minute time limit anymore, so the clock shouldn't be running.
We do have a 5-minute time limit, so the clock is running.
We were told that there was no time limit.
Could you tell me who told you that?
I read it in an official paper somewhere. Okay, well then I'll move on, because the Day of the Dead celebration was a nicely attended event, but it forgot the meaning of the Day of the Dead. There was no ofrenda. There was no altar anywhere, but you could buy $55 drink tickets for tequila. I brought pictures to put at an altar, and there was no altar to put them at. It is not a party to drink at. It is a celebration of the dead. I'll remind you once again, we have an ofrenda 24/7, 365, and that is the Faces of War Memorial. It could have been used had anybody been culturally sensitive to know what the Day of the Dead celebration was really about. Finally, I'd like to say, and I have other things, but I was told we didn't have a time limit. We hired a new city administrator. 18 months, he lived in low-income housing for women. He finally was able to move his family down here, which we were happy about, and he bought a home after 18 months, and he bought that lovely home in Milton. And I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward and speak? Yes, sir. Please come forward.
Good evening, Mayor Henry and council members. See if I can pull this thing up where there is a way to do it. Well, I'll just go with it as it is. I come before you, I'm Richard Arena. I live at 830 Jones Road here in Roswell. Been there for 45 years. I come before you tonight with high hopes. I am looking forward to this council working together and leading Roswell into a future that residents and investors will be enthusiastic about. And that's why I'm bringing you some information tonight. I want to share it with you. I think it was King Solomon who said that without vision, the people perish. I'm probably using that in the sense that the king didn't mean, but we do need to have vision. And in order for a vision to be sustainable, it needs to have 4 key elements in harmony. One of them, as you see in a slide over here, is the people. The people in a republic, in the form of a republic that we have, where our government represents the will and the interests of the people, we have to have the support of the people. They have to get behind whatever vision that we have. The second element is the market. There must be a market for that vision in a free market economy, unless we're in a tyranny. And thirdly, if there is a market for it, the investors will come. They should come. They're not going to invest in something where there's no viable return on investment. And finally, sustainability, I don't mean that here necessarily in a environmental sense. I mean that in a sense of we have to have sufficient infrastructure, revenue to support the infrastructure and services that the government has to provide for whatever vision we're going to do. Now let's see what we can do next slide. I'm clever enough to do that. Aha. Well, I'll skip right to this. We've talked, Mayor, you've talked a lot, and several other people on the council here have talked about the need for office in Roswell. And looking at stats here, we see that the tech industry is really leading. That's what's driving the office industry today. I was talking to an old friend of mine who is a real estate investor here in Roswell, and he contends that Roswell was passed by when cable fiber optic was pulled up to Alpharetta, and we're just not going to get tech here in Roswell. Well, I was talking with Fiber Light people today, and they informed me that that's just not so. We do have fiber here, and as a matter of fact, we have a very able staff, I come to find out, IT staff that has plans for broadening our fiber optic cable network that can support office development in our corridors. So that's something we can very much look forward to in the future. Now, what would drive people, or what would attract people to come here that are in those high professions that we want in this community? Part of it has to do, no doubt, with the character of Roswell. What we are, these beautiful tree-canopied neighborhoods, our marvelous parks, our schools, all the wonderful assets that all of us love here in Roswell. And of course, housing is a big part of it. So let's take a look at the market for housing. There's a lot of false information that has gone out about housing. Americans prefer, as you see from this chart here, based on census figures, one-family housing. About 2/3 of Americans live in single-family detached homes, and that's amazing since 80% of us live in urban areas in the United States. This figure shows you here, this chart from Harvard University shows us that millennials, Gen X, and baby boomers, this is the heart of the market that we want to attract. Okay, so what do they want? This shows us here that over the next 10 years, this is where the market is for home buyers. They represent like 79% millennials and baby boomers, and if you throw in Gen Xers, you got like 93% of the market. I'm going to skip over that one. What do millennials want? You see here that millennials want well over 70%, want single-family detached homes. Only 21% of millennials want to live in an urban condo or an apartment. And that's borne out, this is from Harvard's study. No, I'm sorry, this is National Association of Realtors. All buyers, single-family homes. That's what they want. They want suburban subdivisions, small town. I see that my time is running out. I have more slides here, and it's on your all's computer, and I will leave that with you. I've got some figures also with regard to traffic, which is going to be crucial for us to address that. That's the elephant in the room that we really need to address if we're going to have a viable future. I thank you very much for your time, and I wish you all the best of luck going forward working together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arena, and thank you so much for this information and sharing it with us. I will look forward to reading over it later this evening, probably. So thank you so much. Who else would like to come forward and speak? Yes, sir, please come forward.
Hi, good evening, guys. Can I have a second to set up with the easel before my time starts? Thank you. Hi, good evening. My name's Philip Mansell. I'm a resident of Roswell. I've lived off Upper Henbury for my entire life. So I'm here for the racetrack development. So if you'll, obviously we talked about this back in November, about the OP shutting down the rezoning of that. And so under UDC 612, and obviously I know this isn't a hearing, but I want to get everything on record. Under 612 of the UDC, it's intended to preserve and provide exclusive dumpster and parking space. So that's my first thing. The second thing that I want to bring up is the traffic under UDC 1310-5B. So right now, they've got it coming in right here, taking a left-hand turn off Alpharetta Highway into this area. That's cutting across 3 lanes of traffic. I'm sorry, guys. Thank you. Okay, is this better? Okay, so these are the plans. They're bringing in the turn lane, a left-hand turn lane, coming in right here into the to the racetrack. It cuts across 3 lanes of traffic, and then they've also got another entrance down here. This is Hembry Road. Now, if you've got somebody coming in trying to take a left into this place from Hembry Road, this is the traffic from January 31st at 4 p.m. So you want somebody to take a left into here. That goes back to Wills Road. Thank you very much. Look how far back the traffic is. So you're stopping traffic from people coming this way on Hembry Road just to get into to get a milkshake. This is another picture from January 30th at 3:30 p.m. How do you expect somebody on like a 1-lane road right there, and you've got a school right up the street with people getting out of school? It completely blocks that intersection. I mean, if there has to be, the racetrack has to be there, like this needs to be widened to at least 2 lanes. So I'm gonna, I know I'm running out of time here. So basically under 1310-5B, traffic calculations analysis results that are contrary to good common sense are not consistent with and supported by the data will not be accepted. So I've got the traffic calculations from the city of Roswell showing that a 530% increase in AM hours and a 206 increase in PM hours will be affected with this. And I've got copies for all of you guys if you want to see it. Let's see here. Okay, under 13.13.2F expansions, a non-conforming use may not be expanded, enlarged, or extended in land area or in floor space or volume of space in a building or structure, which is exactly what they're trying to do. Let's see here. We already have 17 gas stations within a 2.5-mile radius, and the last thing that I'll bring up, there are, I think, 10 or 12 specimen trees, willow oaks on that property that have not been addressed with the development committee. So, and again, I recognize that this isn't a final hearing or anything, but I just want to get everything on record for it. I think it's a terrible idea. I feel like this is going to be a nuisance for the firefighters that's located right there, which is under 883S, excessive and disturbing sounds. It's going to keep them up all night long, and it's also going to affect them trying to get out and, you know, meet the rescue time that the citizens of Roswell pay for. So that's what I got.
Thank you, sir. And I would like to make a couple of comments. Of course, our transportation department is here, and they will take your comments into consideration. That project will not come to this body because it's allowed by right, and it's my understanding that our fire chief is in support of the project. So there is little opportunity for us to deal with this going forward. But
No,
like I said.
I recognize
well,
that.
sir,
I was just-
Yes, I'm just commenting, I'm not asking. So our Transportation Department will take those comments into consideration.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Who would like to come forward next? Yes, sir.
I need to pick up a mic or anything?
There's a mic at the podium. As long as you don't have to
Okay.
walk around, you're good.
Hi. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Kevin Dean. I live here in Roswell. I live right off Greenhouse Drive, which is about, maybe about a half a mile from Henry Road, right off 9. And I work about a quarter of a mile from that intersection. And obviously, you know, I'm referring to the racetrack and taking your comments that you just said into account. I'm just kind of here to put this on record. I spoke to you guys in November, and I work in that area. I live in that area. I'm at that intersection at least 5 times a day. That's going to work, that's coming, you know, from work to home, that's going to lunch, that's shooting a Burger King across the street, you know, whatever. The intersection is an absolute mess. It is an absolute mess. And I think I heard someone say at the last meeting, well, they were complaining about traffic when they put the, you know, the car washes in. They were complaining about traffic, about the bank going in. Yeah, I mean, because it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And especially if we're using that intersection as a convenience store with high traffic. You know, I like racetrack. I go to racetrack. I think it's just a terrible, you know, even though they had the right, it doesn't make it right. I think it's a serious safety issue. And I know the firefighter said, you know, the fire chief said he's okay with it. Well, I think they're okay with it because it's a racetrack right next door. They can walk next door and get a, you know, a drink or whatever. You know, I just don't think they're seeing the forest because of the trees. I'm in traffic every day and I see people block that lane that they're supposed to keep open for the fire trucks to come out. And I've seen that light up and a fire truck be blocked by traffic. And if we're gonna pack more cars into that intersection and pack people into that corner and pack people coming out and pack people coming in, I think it's a recipe for disaster. And if one fire truck is delayed for 1 minute and somebody dies because racetrack wanted to put that on that corner, it's about money. It's all about money. It's nothing else. There's nothing convenient about it. I work right down the street. There's nothing convenient about me going to that intersection to get a snack because I'll be blocked in. I can't get out for maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, who knows? And, you know, I build signs for a living, so sometimes I bid on these jobs, you know, that I see that the city puts out or whoever puts out, construction companies, blah, blah, blah. I see a lot of the improvements that Roswell's doing to Highway 9, and all these buildings going up, the bad ones coming down. That area right there where there's a lot of small businesses, we're slapping in a racetrack. It's ugly, number one. I saw the retaining wall they want to put up. It looks like crap. I mean, it's terrible. I just don't think it's good for the city. As for the health of the people who live here, I don't think it's a good idea. I just want to put that on record. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming out tonight. Who would like to come forward? Yes, sir. Please come forward.
Eric Spencer, 11505 Elkins Road, Roswell, 61 years here. Traffic, I'm gonna start off with traffic first. When I make my way out of my driveway, turn on the Hembry, I have to sit in line. And that's about 1 mile and 3/10 to go to Hembry right now. In the afternoons, just like you showed you, coming back the other way, just as bad. And they block, like I said, they do block the entrance to the fire station. I was the captain at that fire station. I'm retired. And I'm trying to look after my brothers because that's going to stay blocked. People wants to go home and go to work. The lights blaring on the bunk room. The bunk room is right next to the racetrack. It's right next to it. So slamming doors every night, loud music, bright lights. It's just a bad location. And council people, I appreciate what y'all have done to vote the OP down. I really do. Y'all did your job. I appreciate it. But this is just if they didn't have that property, they couldn't have made this driveway where they could get in and out of their property. It's just, if it was back further down, they couldn't use it. So that's my main concern is traffic again, Alpharetta Highway. It's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to be 6 lanes of traffic. And that center lane is a turn lane going east on Hembry. That's going to be blocking the entrance to the gas station. I just don't see how this traffic is going to work. I really don't. It's just, they could build it somewhere else. This is just a bad location. It's too tight. Everything's right on the edge of property. And that's why they had to buy this other land to make it so they can get it out of the lot. So, and my main concern is looking at my brothers. Like I said, these all guys are part-timers. They got jobs somewhere else as firefighters. And once they start hearing doors at night, loud music at night, and they can't sleep, we don't know what's going to happen. So I just wish this would have went the other way. But I do appreciate the council people. I really do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Who would like to come forward next? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name's Craig Sullivan. I live in Robbing Ford, Mighty Andretti's and Windsor Trail. And I guess if I'm going to talk about the hot topic of the night, racetrack. And my concern is when we last talked in November, the council along with the mayor unanimously decided we're not going to approve changing the CP into the OP. We're not going to combine the areas. Everyone voted, no, we're not doing that. So now racetrack seems to be coming behind the scenes, coming with all these new designs, asking the zoning board for new variances on, first was the 8 spots with an island. They want a variance on that. Then they wanted the exception on the tree height, which I think they granted. So I'm not sure if that's how we operate or not. We already voted, no, you cannot use that OP land for any part of the racetrack. But now they want to change that part. Okay, fine, we won't put any of the racetrack there, but what we're going to do is we are going to put our dumpster on the OP land and build a road for the dumpster on the OP land. And to me, that was like an end around saying, okay, forget the council, forget the mayor, we're going to do it our way. And it just seems like they're trying everything they can to pull wool over our eyes. Say, okay, we're still keeping the racetrack here, but the dumpster is going to be on the other side of the land, so it really won't qualify as being part of the racetrack. And the answer to that is, well, who's going to pay the bill for that dumpster? Racetrack. So yes, it's still OP, but racetrack is paying for that land just to put a dumpster on it. And if we're going to allow anyone just to buy land to put a dumpster, then I think we need to rejudge what we're doing, because that isn't what you guys decided when you voted in November. It was, you could racetrack, commercial, you know, the traffic, we all know what's going to happen. But they could build it there, I guess. You know, there's no rules or anything preventing them from building the racetrack there, besides the citizens of Roswell saying, we don't want something like that there. Traffic at that intersection is already chaotic, and to have cars crossing 3 lanes of traffic or 6 lanes of traffic either way, it's just, you know, it's not a good idea for that spot. You guys, every week I get the Roswell newspaper, the Herald, and every time I look at it, read it, there's something about transportation, how Roswell is going to improve transportation. I know we're looking at down Roswell Road, Alpharetta Street, I think it is. I don't go down that way too much. On that intersection where the Chattahoochee is going into Sandy Springs. I know we're looking at that intersection, getting ready to redo it, I believe. So again, you know, it's just concerning to me that you already voted no. No part of racetrack can be on this land that is designated OP, and they are continually trying to weave their way into, well, we're going to use the land, but it won't be considered, right? You know, it's just trickery, in my opinion, that they're trying to do that. And when it comes up for a vote again, I'm sure it's going to come before you. It's going to come before the design board. It's going to come before the zoning board, I believe, again. The decision's already made. You cannot use the OP land as part of the racetrack in any way, shape, or form. That was voted on. It's decided. It shouldn't be up for a revote. You know. And the other part is that you mentioned are, you know, the trees that are kind of line the road on either side. Why do we want to take those down? You know, people are stuck in that intersection. At least they can see, okay, look at the pretty trees, you know, instead they're just going to see this big, gigantic racetrack. I thank you for your time, and thank you.
Thank you, sir. Who would like to come forward next? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Nicholas Moenga, and I've been living in Roswell for the last 15 years. I have 2 items, and one is concerning about homelessness. There's a lot of people, if you walk around from Roswell, from Chevron down here, all the way to Main Street, there's a lot of homeless people walking around, pushing carts. So what I'm asking from the council is, what can we do to get these people out of the streets? Or is there any program we can do to put them to a shelter or a working program? So I want you, this council, to look into that and maybe come up with a solution. Another item is I'm going to talk about is actually what other citizens have been talking about, and this is about the racetrack on Hembry and Highway 9. I know back in November 12th we came here. I was part of the meeting, and we had a lot of arguments if we're going to allow the racetrack to be built on that corner or not. I know most people say that by right it can be built because it's commercial heavy. Then there was an application for rezoning for 2500 North Hostop Boulevard, which actually was denied. When we came here, I came to another meeting actually last week, which was a planning board, and the chairman said that the decision has already been made. that less truck is gonna build the gas station at that corner. But when I look at the plan, the footprint plan, actually is pretty much the same as when we had the meeting here on the November 12th. Nothing has changed. So what they did is they whitewashed everything and they said, okay, everything is good. We might lose a footprint and it's not gonna bother anybody. So I would like you, the city council, to look at the footprint plan from the previous, which was November 15th, and the previous one they have revised the footprint like 3 times, but they are coming with the same footprint. And on November 12th, we argued about the 2500 North Hospital Boulevard. I remember the mayor asked them if they're gonna lose anything, if they're gonna build on the allowed 11515, which was commercial heavy. And I think the clerk might have said that, yeah, they're gonna lose something. So what they did, actually, they reduced the canopy by just maybe 2 feet. But when you look at the current footprint plan, the dumpster is actually on the 2500 Hospital Boulevard. And there's also around 3 parkings over there. So if we want to allow the less truck to build that, and we already voted that it cannot be changed from OP to CH, it's as if like telling somebody, okay, you go, you park your car at your neighbor's parking lot and you are on yours and you say, oh, I'm actually in my house, but your car is parked on the other side. So, and I acknowledge that the mayor just said that there might be a loophole on that dumpster and the parking, the 3 parking, which is on the other side of 2500 Boulevard. I think something needs to be looked into that. And actually, another thing I was going to add about that, I love race truck. I fuel there almost every day because their gas is a little bit cheaper. But at the end of the day, that corner is not the right place for less truck. There's a fire station behind, there's a hospital next there. We're going to cut all those trees just to give the big corporation just to build the gas station. And another thing, actually, less truck is not bringing any jobs to Roswell because right now, most less truck convenience stores, actually, they have self-checkout lines. So they might be hiring only a $10 cashier to man their pumps. So we have to think about the environment, which is gonna cause the safety of that area. We have an hospital around the corner, the fire department. Last week, we had an accident on 285. The highway was closed for 10 hours. What if actually one truck accident happens there? So the whole of Highway 9 would be closed for 10 hours. That means the ambulance can't even reach the hospital. The fire department trucks can't even go to respond to emergencies. So we need to talk about that and rethink about this old project. There's a lot of loopholes, actually, if you go back. I have a copy here. I'm going to give you guys one. You look at it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Who would like to come forward next, please?
My name's Steve Perez. I live in Roswell off of Hembry Road. I really wasn't planning to speak tonight, and this might not be the forum, but I did want to make a comment about an upcoming zoning change that's going to be discussed on February 18th, I believe. And that is for St. Mary's Coptic Church to change 2 of their lots that are residential to civic. Now, the question that I have is, they want to make it civic, but in their application to the city, they've never said what they want to use it for. They've just put it in as civic with no description of any property, what they're going to build, how big, how small, what it's going to be used for. And it's amazing to me that even as part of their application, they have said that their congregation is concerned about them selling the property, and they are looking to convert it to civic to prove to their congregation that they're going to keep the property. And I guess my point is, A, why would you approve civic with no need, with no stated need on what they're going to make out of the property? And second of all, I certainly don't think Roswell in general should be doing zoning changes to satisfy the internal politics of an organization. I mean, it's just nuts. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm just bringing it out now. Unfortunately, I won't be at the meeting, but I do think that people need to be aware of it, that that's not the way you go. You're going to go civic, you better have a reason what you want it for. Don't leave it blank. Don't fill out the paperwork that says, we're going to follow everything that you follow in civic, without stating what it is. Nobody knows about zoning, changes that they might want in the future, about variances that they might want. It's sort of like, buying something, a box, and not knowing what's in the box. So I'm bringing it up now because it will be coming up to the council meeting in February. And one other comment, they were all talking about the racetrack. I got to tell you, in the morning, the road between the circle at Howes and Highway 9 is packed. That whole distance, and what's that, a mile plus, is packed every morning because I go by there and I could see it. So somebody did something in the past. Thank you for your time, and please consider that what I was saying. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and we will certainly look at that as it goes through the zoning process. I would like to point out that I don't believe Roswell, at least in recent history, the last 20 or so years, has ever rezoned a piece of property that is not tied to a site plan. So that is something certainly we would look at and consider as it's going through the zoning process. But our zonings are always tied to a site plan. So, but that is not the first time I've heard that, and we will certainly consider that. Who would like to come forward at this time? Yes, sir.
What happened to the mic? Jason Yowell, 5010 Old Oak Trace, Roswell, Georgia. As it was probably come as no surprise to most of you, I'm here to talk about the Gateway. I think that this has been a poorly designed piece of goods from the very beginning. It has been terribly constrained by the decision taken many councils ago to put the pedestrian bridge over the river on the east side of the roadway and to keep it level with the roadway and to run a multi-purpose path up that side of the road. We end up with an intersection at the river that is absolutely Rube Goldberg contraption. The city's consultants project that the left-hand turn from the connector to southbound Highway 9 in the morning is going to be 745 cars an hour. That's 12 cars a minute. You only have stacking for about 20 cars till you gridlock the roundabout. Guaranteed that will gridlock in the morning. Now, the city had a peer review for the roundabout down there on Riverside, and it was a really interesting direction that they were given. They were just there to critique the roundabout and the flow through the roundabout and how the roundabout might affect the signalized intersection. They were not given a direction to analyze how the signalized intersection would affect the roundabout. Now, if you're going to go through all the expense of doing a grade separation only to have the roundabout there gridlock, wow, That's just unbelievable, but you don't have a lot of choice because of where the multi-purpose path comes across the river. That is the killer in this. Now, RDOT loves to talk about how they've been working on this for 10 years. 10 years, and they're puttering around the edges because it's so over budget, because your big-time consultants, who, by the way, botched the big dig in Boston by billions and billions of dollars. I think they're just running up your bill here. In 2017, GDOT did a cost analysis, and just not the right of way, not just the construction costs, including the utilities. Oh no, just the construction, not including right of way or utilities, was $20 million. A year later, they did it again. The budget was now $30 million. Now, I know there's been some inflation in the construction industry, but a year-over-year increase of 50%, that's not due to rising construction costs. That's due to out-of-control design work. They don't know what to do to make this economical, and it's because you've got 4,500 linear feet of retaining wall in this design. That is a disaster. Just on the one side, as people come up the connector, you've got 20 to 35 foot high concrete retaining walls spanning 1,000 feet running up that side of the road. And it's all because you put the bridge, well, not you, but previous councils put the bridge over the river in the wrong place, and everything is being goofed up because of that. Then in that budget in 2018, it's interesting that GDOT says, well, the engineering fee for this job should be $1.3 million. From what I understand, the city has spent $2.9 million and is looking for another $1 million. Now, I think you ought to go back to Parsons Brinckerhoff and say, you know what? For another $1 million, we want a full redesign. We want a new plan. And it was incumbent upon you to, as our advisors, to tell us that we've got a potential disaster in the making because somebody's picked the wrong side of the bridge to put the pedestrian bridge on. It all stems from that, and all they're doing is running up fees, and it's unjustifiable. Then we come to GDOT and their answer to you about the narrowing the lanes. And this is all scare tactics. Oh, we can't do it because we'll have to pause the process. Good, pause the process. This process needs to be put on a full hold. It needs to be redesigned. And as far as going to 10.5-foot lanes, you make the speed limit 30 miles an hour, you don't have a problem. You don't even have to do a study for that. All you got to do is lower the speed limit. The other part of that is the claims about, well, they don't take into account the width of the mirrors. Well, there is no shortage, and I guess traffic engineers don't have access to all the information on the internet that's been done about narrowing lane widths. You've got 10-foot lanes in cities across the country, including major cities on major streets like Washington, D.C., and they don't have a problem. And the studies have shown that not only does it not have a problem, you don't increase your accident rates. In fact, they get reduced when you narrow the lanes. It slows the traffic. It makes them safer.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you coming forward tonight. Who would like to come forward next? Yes, sir.
Where's the mic? Okay. Oh, here it is. Lee Fleck, 435 North Pond Trail. I would like to use the overhead. Could somebody turn it on and get it tuned in, please, while I talk to you about open mic? I want to thank you for rescheduling it. And aside from Mr. Davison, I don't think any of you up there know how the open mic got to be or got reinforced. So let me give you a little education. I was going to talk about another subject matter today, but the public safety liaison is not here. So at one time, council meetings were held 4 Mondays a month. Back in 2015, somewhere around that, they decided to go to 3 meetings a month. City council people got a 25% bonus. But the agreement at that time was to continue open mics and always have them. Okay, so that's how the open mic came to be. I expect it to continue. You all got a 25% raise, you didn't even know it, or your predecessors gave it to you, but that's why we have it. So I'm going to go into the topic that I'm here to discuss tonight. And what I want to talk to you all about is the fact that, and I'm glad Muhammad is here because what I'm talking about is resurfacing roads in East Roswell. You know, East Roswell's been the stepchild as long as I know. I have brought this subject matter up shortly. In 2018, not one penny of the $2 million budget was spent resurfacing any roads in East Roswell. In 2019, we had a massive increase of 2.3% of a $2 million budget went to East Roswell. The roads that it went to was Old Alabama Extension. I wish somebody would have tuned this in. Oh, I can look at this, I can do it myself. And the entry into Martin's Landing. Square footage is here. You can see this is actually comes from your city documents, from your Department of Transportation. So in 2 years, we've cut that in half, maybe 1% of resurfacing of roads in East Roswell. Thank you. Look what's going to happen 2020. All the yellow. Notice what you're going to resurface. Cul-de-sac, 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 cul-de-sac. Are you kidding me? Who the heck drives in cul-de-sacs? Come on, folks. Let's get some resurfacing on the roads done in East Roswell. This Department of Transportation committed to resurface Martin Road, the other half of Martin Road. They did the west side. As soon as Esther Jackson Elementary School was rebuilt, they were guaranteed to resurface that side of Martin Road because they wanted to wait until all the construction trucks were done there. There's portions of that road down in the gully that have been patched. Steve Ossenbach has come by and patched it. We need to get that road resurfaced, as y'all committed to 2016 when Esther Jackson was torn down. I got another minute, so I'm really not going to get into the topic public safety issue that I wanted to. Otherwise, I have provided you all in an email the January figures. I'm not sure that it came through to you. These January incident reports, I'm not sure it really came through to you properly. I have a hell of a time with the XPS file that I get from the city Roswell Department Code, the police department. It's just so hard to generate this stuff for you. And I only got it today because the information I get comes in such a dysfunctional format. This is how every other page, there's about 20 pages, and it's one continuous litany of information I get. And you can see here, all the information is in one column A, everything. And every other page, look at all the columns. How can you consolidate that and come up with anything logical that you can actually scan and query for intellectual evaluation? I really hope that you all do a better job, and I know your IT department can do it and provide you that information. I only do this for educational purposes so you understand what's going on as far as crime in your city, and your PIO is on the TV almost every night lately. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward and speak? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Sally McKenzie, and I live at 47 Goulding Place in Roswell. And before I get started on what I want to talk about, I just wanted to quickly say that Mr. Perez wanted to add that the current zoning for that the church lot is RS 30. So it would be a really weird thing to rezone it to civic for sure. But moving on, I want to just say that I am glad to have the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm here regarding the Gateway, and I want to say that I think a transportation commission would be a great idea and so helpful to you all. I would not bug the heck out of you with myriads of emails to Mr. Palmer and to you all and to Mr. Muhammad if we had a transportation commission and minutes and a kind of a timeline and notes regarding what's going on with transportation initiatives in our city. Generally, transportation initiatives outlast your tenure on council. So it's so important to have a means by which we can really be clued into what's going on, especially over the long haul. And I have to say, I am very, very disappointed. I have sent several emails with very specific questions, and I have not been answered. Radio silence. So I don't know what to do. Like, we can't have a public meeting. We can't have a back and forth. So I send emails asking questions, and I don't get an answer. I send emails trying to set up a meeting, and I don't get an answer. And I did find... trying to get a grasp on what's going on here. I noted that Mr. Palmer created new procedures for meetings. And the best one, there's several different little sections, or types, but the one that is just weird, it's just dumb, sorry. The one that is dumb is that public meetings, or in meetings involving the public or requested by the public, an outside source that include an elected official and a department representative. First of all, they all must be scheduled through the city administrator. But second of all, the city administrator is going to show up in the department's place. So if I want to talk to RDOT and get some questions answered, the city administrator is going to come and answer them for me? That's what? What? So I just want to know, how do I want my questions answered. I've asked so many, and I'm going to quickly put some of them up. There are so many inconsistencies with the project. It's been going on with Gateway. It's been going on for over 10 years. What's wrong with the pause? What's wrong with drawing it out just a little more? And actually, if we do things right, maybe it actually finishes earlier than it's planned to finish. It's slated to start, I think, in 2024 now at this point. But just to point out I'm just going to point out a few because I don't have time. We thought we had more time. Here's the Riverside Connector and Riverside Drive, showing that big retaining wall right there, and it doesn't show the retaining walls that will show the 25 to 30 feet tall, 1,000 feet of retaining walls. You will absolutely see those coming up the Riverside Connector. But what is interesting to me and unsettling to me about this picture is that there is after the single lane queue, which is going to block traffic through that roundabout for all of East Roswell, there is at least a double lane queue for right and left turn traffic. This is what has been presented to the public. This is the plans, as far as I know, that GDOT has. It shows 2 lanes and a pedestrian sidewalk or path or bridge or whatever connected to, on the connector. Only 2 lanes, 1 each way. So there's not a 2-lane queue, there's just a 1-lane queue. So this is not just, we're not talking 30% of the plan is still incomplete. We're talking major inconsistencies. The other big one, which I want to bring up, is the TSPOS dollars. $3 million were allocated toward enhancements for this project, including burying the power lines. I have not received an answer as to why they are no longer showing as buried. Right before the vote, the TSPOS vote in 2017, Roswell put up pictures and the promise of burying the power lines. Shortly after actually not, I don't know when, but after the referendum in November, the pictures disappeared and new ones were started showing up with the power lines back up. Super disappointing not to be able to talk more about a project which is so critical to Roswell and which citizens have not had any input in. And we're still not being heard. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward? Yes, sir.
We all have to stop meeting like this. I'm Jim Walsh. I live in River Terrace. And you've heard a lot tonight about the Gateway Project and about a lot of other things. I and our group over on the east side have had meetings informally, et cetera, to talk about the project and how it impacts the east side. Some things have become very obvious. I'm not a traffic engineer. I did stay in a Holiday Inn last night, but the fact of the matter is that we just want to bring to your attention what we see as problems of people who live on the east side, travel Riverside Drive 29 to go south or go across or go north. Example's perfect tonight. It took me 45 minutes to come from Eves Road to here. And the problem, it was completely at the Highway 9 Riverside Drive. And the problem is simply one of two things. One, the current situation, the way it is that there are so many people making left-hand turns. The left-hand turn lane is so short that the traffic at rush hour backs up past the church at St. Andrews, which is just unbelievable, a wait of time to have to be there to do that. And it's simply because the left-hand turn lane is not long enough to handle the current left-hand traffic. So what you'll see if you're going, let's say, north on Highway 9, is that you're looking at two empty lanes, a straight-through lane to Azalea, right-hand lane for the right-hand turn, and the left-hand lane completely blacking up everything that's going on trying to get through there. What we have seen is going forward is that you're going to, from the design and the discussions we've had and understand, you're going to increase the traffic of westbound on Riverside between the sanitation building there and farther back all the way through that left-hand turn lane. The reason is all the traffic coming that want to make southbound turns on the Highway 9 coming from Azalea have to come all the way down to this roundabout. And they're going to merge with the traffic that's coming across from Riverside. So now you've doubled the traffic. The second thing is that there is no right-hand turn from Highway 9 southbound onto Azalea. You have to make a left-hand turn again onto and down around this roundabout and come back and make a left-hand turn at the top of this road again. So you're doubling, if not tripling, the amount of traffic, one, that's going to be forced onto Riverside Drive in that area. Now you've taken out a lane, has been taken out from the DOT report, so you no longer have two left-hand turn lanes here, you only have one, and you're asking all of these people to merge to which way they're going to go. To us on that side, this looks like westbound 285 at the 400 junction at rush hour. It's just screwed up, all right? And we're asking you to look at that, all right? And to look at the other fact that we're looking at is the fact that we understand that this project is going to be done at the same time that the Holcomb Bridge bypass is going to be done. The people on the east side have two ways to get to Roswell and west, Riverside Drive and Holcomb Bridge. And both of them are going to be under construction at the same time. we're going to be locked in. We're going to be landlocked. We're not going to be able to get out. It's going to take forever. There's got to be something better in this design. The other factor is that if you look at this, and I just want to close. I know I'm running out of time. I just want to close with the fact that high retaining walls, et cetera, do not, in our opinion, from our side, look to be inviting to a very historic city. We'd like to see you look at something else to be done in that intersection. It looks more like a 1970s spaghetti junction. And then finally, I know we've heard it's 15 years, it's all the rest of this stuff. Let's do it right, let's do it the first time. Also understand that your own traffic engineers are saying by 2037, this intersection will be overrated, overloaded, and obsolete. It's not going to be done if you started today till 2024. Do the math of how many years it's viable. I'd ask you, don't do it because of the money. We got to spend the money now. Don't do it because everybody just wants to get something done. Let's do it right. Let's look at it. Let's make sure we get exactly what's best for the city and best for both sides of the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone that would like to come forward and speak? Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Bill Odre with Shoot the Hooch. About a month ago, our company was disqualified by the city for 18 years of service. 18 years, every year, our contract renewed. Same terminology, same stuff. For some reason, something happened. But I am not an attorney, but fortunately I have friends in Washington, and they told me to go to an artificial intelligence site that Washington and big attorney firms use, and I got the information without an attorney, so I'm not an attorney. But our company was disqualified because of lack of process, lack of transparency, inaccuracy, inaccurate and incorrect interpretation. When they were looking at our contract, excuse me for a second to get this out. Is this being recorded? Is this being recorded?
Yes, sir, it is
Okay.
being recorded.
Yeah,
And I would like to remind everyone to please fill out a comment card and state your name and address for the
Bill
record.
Odre, 9755 Roberts Drive, Sandy Springs, Georgia. And since I was here last time, nobody knew what was going on with this. Who has looked at summaries? Can you just raise your hand for public record? Who has looked at our record? Okay. Oh, I'm trying to get answers because nobody will return my calls. Okay, so this is why I'm here. Okay, so there's lack of transparency, et cetera. And we've been there 18 years. And when you look at the terminology for different things, a contract is a specific type of agreement that, by its terms and elements, is legally binding and enforceable in a court of law. Then when you go to the federal court laws, which now, you know, I'm not an attorney, but what has been done could be unconstitutional and actually antitrust. When you go to federal laws on this decision that was made, you go under 36 CFR 5.3. It is illegal to conduct business in a park area without a permit, contract, or other written agreement. Additionally, public has Public Land Law Section 105-391, Section 418, passed in 1998, provided by the NPS the authority to issue CUAs to allow business operating and requires NPS to collect reasonable fee for a CU administrative and management. So what's happening, we had a contract with the National Park, everybody else had a contract with National Park, and I was disqualified. And it's not acceptable to me. I expect to be on the river another 18 years. And I just need you all, if you haven't, nobody wants to raise their hands, it's okay, but I don't know if you all did it. And then it came to a point, if nobody looked at it, where when it came up to what the city is losing, $84,000, all you have to do is look at our records, period. So I don't think anybody looked at our records, or they would be coming back and saying like, hey, this guy's giving us 21%, this other guy's giving us 7%. Then in a negotiating stage, which I don't think is constitutional, but I'm not an attorney, I don't know how you can make a deal with another company and say, with Jeff Leatherman and Jeff Pruitt stating to the city that, oh, we're gonna negotiate the deal afterwards. How can you negotiate a deal when it's supposed to be done? We were already delayed by the city for a contract probably, I don't know, Barb would know, it was postponed because Nantahala couldn't provide any equipment till 2020. It was at a public meeting. They stated it, and they gave us another year. So we have 19 years unblemished with the national park, 18 years unblemished with Roswell, and then Roswell, after 18 years service, they actually came and locked us out of our building. They surrounded our building with police. What is it? I mean, we served the public well. You got national certification because you used my Spirit of Roswell riverboat when they were being classified for being this award you all got. And now I don't know what to do. I'm fixing my boat up because Roswell wouldn't let me take it out at a sand company for years. The staff of the Park and Rec, we requested helping with the dredging, all kind of stuff. It never got to the city staff. That's why I say the process is flawed. And you all just take for granted what anybody says at these other levels without researching it. And another bad thing about the meeting I had with you all, I get to say something to you, and then you get to say everything back to me, and then I don't have a response. I have to wait for a month to be able to talk to you all. I love Roswell. I have my life invested in it. I have all my money invested in Roswell. And then to be treated like this, it's like not right. So if you want to attract businesses, you better treat the people that help you at the beginning right. But I hope you reconsider what you're doing because I think it's not proper. And I want to be here. And we will be here one way or the other. But thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward and speak? Speak now. I don't see anyone approaching, so we are adjourned. Thank you so much for coming out tonight.